You wanna know how I got these scars?
I keep telling you, I don't care if they're lizards. You can't train an alligator.
Oh, but she's sweet.
I don't trust that smile. Too teethy. There's too much teeth in there.
Well, do you trust Heath Ledger's smile?
I trust that it will come back in mostly because it looks like a boomerang, but also maybe to haunt me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Enough of the wisecracks. Let's get right to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nerd-Vana podcast, where we're doing the first sequel, not doing the preceding film, The Dark Knight. Why, you may ask? Because it's the best one. What? Watch the movie? Yeah, it's the movie. Yeah, it's the best movie of the entire trilogy. That's why it's called the Dark Knight trilogy, not the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, which is a mouthful.
Yeah.
So for the next hour, and yeah, we're kind of giving you listeners a little bit of a break. It has come to my attention that our previous podcasts were a little too long.
Yeah, how long was Fallen Kingdom? Almost 2 hours, and
yeah, almost 2 hours. It's always been around just the 2 hour, just about 2 hours.
Between an hour and a half to 2 hours usually.
But no, we will now condense it down to 1 hour. Whatever we don't talk about, please leave comments below. We would actually love to chat with you.
Indeed, yes. You know, when we're not working.
Yeah.
Because we both have lives outside of YouTube.
Well, I hope to get a job where I get paid to do something like this eventually. I'm still looking.
Have you reached out to Universal?
I really don't think they would care for me.
What about DreamWorks?
Well, maybe, but But how expensive is it to move all the way from here to Burbank?
I don't know. You'll be closer to the Jurassic World ride. But enough about that. Let's talk about Batman.
Yes. Alright, starting now. Alright, so The Dark Knight trilogy came out in 2008, directed by Christopher Nolan, the guy that previously made Batman Begins and Memento, which I recently rewatched. I forgot how good it was. Which, by the way, I actually do recommend. I recommend that movie as well. But for The Dark Knight, wow. I think that's all. I think that's the best way I can describe it in one word. Wow. I mean, everything was just kicked up a notch. Everything, the action, just how dark it was, the acting, somewhat. We'll get to that. even the music, and all of it was. I think all of it was due to Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, which is, my God,
like the Green Goblin in our last review. Once again, it's the villain that's the most memorable thing.
Yes.
And we have to notice something. Every time there's a great villain, the movie's pretty good too.
Yeah, it is. I think that just might have something to do with the fact that this movie came out the same year as Marvel's Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, which then kicked off the cinematic universe that unfortunately DC has tried and hastily patched together, and we all know how well that worked out. And all culminating into Infinity War, which featured Thanos, which was a really terrifically written villain, and it was from watching The Dark Knight that I realized he was the first well-written, compelling villain. So Thanos was kind of more like an heir to the throne, and a very worthy successor at that. So while I have praised Thanos in Infinity War, I still love it. I still love Infinity War Thanos. I thought it was very well written. We can't forget that Heath Ledger's Joker laid the foundation for well-written villains.
Mm-hmm.
And so, why do you think, Ian? Why do you think he's a very compelling villain?
That is definitely a tough question. To be honest, I think really we just have to ask what makes a good villain.
Well, they can't be boring.
Well, obviously.
Of course.
Cough, croaking.
Let's see. They have to be able to actually challenge the hero.
That is,
push.
That is rule number one. Yes. And
yes.
From there, I think you can go a couple ways. You could be like Vigo and be smart and have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could be sort of like Heath Ledger's Joker and say you don't have a plan, but you do, and it's so convoluted it's kind of hard to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to be honest, you gotta say, it has to be a smart villain. I've noticed that the smart ones are bad.
It does. It has to be a smart villain, and not in just that they have to be intelligent. It's just that they have to have.
You gotta be crafty.
I guess they gotta be crafty, and they gotta have like a real. They gotta be like a real person, like actually have a real perspective on things. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's probably the other reason why we liked Vigo and Thanos and the Joker, is because they have a dark and twisted perspective of the world. That is kind of somewhat right, is in the right, mm-hmm. in a way.
Like they have a point.
Mm-hmm. And in the Joker's case, with how crazy things have gotten in recent years, and the Joker's, little monologue about how really society's morals and codes is really nothing more than a bad joke. The older I get, the more I believe it. Now does that mean that I'm just going to slap on a bunch of makeup and start rigging gasoline charges? No. I am not that type of person.
I would if I worked for the Mythbusters.
Mythbusters is okay, yes, because it's for science.
Science!
It's for science, and mostly because Jamie wants Big Boom.
When in doubt, C4.
So yeah, as I I kind of don't want the whole hour to just be a simple praising of Heath Ledger. We can probably fill a whole show with that.
Oh, more
Let's be
definitely.
sure to give. Let's at least give some of the other actors, some of the other people involved in this their due credit.
Yes, because there's quite a bit we can talk about here.
Like, I think let's just get this one out of the way. The music. Honestly, Hans Zimmer came up with a theme for the Joker that is pretty much on par with John Williams' theme for Jaws. So, John Williams' idea for a villain theme, just 2 notes. Bum bum. Bum bum. Hans Zimmer's...
I played it.
Jaws, another good film that honestly I recommend watching.
Almost definitely.
And Hans Zimmer's idea of creating a villain theme? Just, how about just one string of a violin that just gets tighter and tighter, pitch goes higher and higher as it continues on.
Oh, jeez, yeah, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Woo! Oh boy. And yes, you have a villain theme. And honestly, I think it was because of this movie, of how successful it was. This movie started a whole lot of trends when it comes to superhero movies. One of them, as well as just films in general. One, I think, is how there's not really a whole bunch of melodies in live-action films anymore. It's just notes. It's just rhythms. Think about Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that theme. Or the theme of How to Train Your Dragon, stuff that you can whistle to. Now I'm not saying there's definitely some kind of melody here in The Dark Knight, but I think this was the movie that kind of kicked off the whole, I think what I like to call elevator music feeling soundtrack. Just stuff that plays in the background.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
How about you?
As far as the music, it's hard for me to say, because I generally need to actually listen to the music, either actually in the film and ignore everything else, or just find it on YouTube, and I have yet to do that. Probably because it's just not really there. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's there, but like you said, you don't notice it.
Yeah, I know. That's what bums me out. Now, the other trend that this movie seems to be responsible for is DC trying to do the dark and gritty superhero movie. Man of Steel tried to do that, and I gotta say, it kind of didn't work out too well.
No.
And I think that's due to who the character is. Superman's supposed to be a symbol of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Batman is. It works for Batman because he's supposed to be like a symbol of vengeance. He's supposed to strike fear in the hearts of villains. And so that's why the whole dark and grittiness, that's why it suits him.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think one of the better, dark and gritty superhero movies, if you can call it that, is RoboCop. Like the original RoboCop. Sort of.
Yeah, the original.
If you tweak your definition of what a superhero is, I think RoboCop would definitely fit into that dark and gritty theme.
it definitely, yeah, the 80s, I mean, everything about the 80s was dark and gritty.
Even Back to the Future.
Doc Brown gets shot by Libyans because he stole their plutonium. Because they wanted him to make them a bomb. What do you think?
We need to review that one at some point.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorites.
We'll put that on the wall, viewers. We'll put a pin in that one.
Yeah. Let's
see who all. Chris.
All right. Here's another thing that I actually did notice that was actually kind of annoying to me when I was rewatching this. Is that I had to constantly readjust the volume on my TV set so that I could hear what they're talking about and not go deaf from the explosions.
Because everybody's whispering.
Mm-hmm. Now that sort of the thing is,
no, that can
it's
work.
Not a bad. It's not a bad idea. It works in the opening scene. Okay, because you're not in the opening scene. You're just hearing a bunch of these guys. You're hearing these guys in clown masks. They're running around buildings, zip lining. They're getting ready, and then all of a sudden, when you hear the first gunshot, you're going, "Whoa!" Was not expecting that. So now that it has your full attention. But then the rest of the movie is like that.
Yeah, no, that it can work in some scenes if it fits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a whole movie if you're going for that style.
Yeah.
Although with this film, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Like if you're going for the whole film, it's got to be like there's got to be a reason why everybody's whispering. Whereas in Batman, opening theme makes sense, but after that, not really.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, was it? What else? God, what else is there? All right, Christian Bale. We kind of know that his voice as Batman has been mocked at. It's been parodied. I'm not wearing hockey pads. All right, I want to set the record straight. I found on IMDb that he actually used the original Batman voice that he did in Batman Begins, which was not bad. I'm actually okay with that one. Of course, that was also that was laughed and made fun of when he did the "Where were the other drugs going? Swear to me." But it turns out that the reason for the deep, gravelly, growly voice is to the fault of the post-production crew. His voice was altered to make it that way. Oh, I felt that. Uh-huh. Yeah, so...
Viewers, if you're wondering what happened, I facepalmed. That's my thing now, I think, on the show. Ian facepalming. I need to I'll make a meme of that.
Oh, there's already a meme. It's called Captain Picard.
Or
Star Trek
Mask Palm.
Mask Palm. Podcast Palm.
Yep. But do we know who was in charge of post-production, so I know who to slap with a wet salmon?
Who was in charge of the audio?
I guess who?
I don't really know, and I think that might take up some of our time.
Lee Smith. We'll blame him because he was in charge of editing.
Okay. I guess just to make it easy, but I don't think it might have been his fault.
Regardless.
Yeah. Lee Smith. Wow. What an interesting name. All right. Now Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent / Two-Face.
This is
Honestly,
interesting.
This is interesting. Funny enough, apparently, this was not the first Christopher Nolan film that he tried to be a part of. He actually auditioned for the role of Memento, but that unfortunately went to Guy Pearce. But Nolan remembered his audition and then eventually cast him as Harvey Dent. So, all right.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. The way his eventual rise and fall is built up throughout the movie is almost a lot like the animated series that I grew up with, which also, Ian, I kind of recommend watching.
I'll look into it once I'm finished with season 1 of the Adam West series, as well as all the other projects I have going on right now.
So just like in the series, there's like a few episodes where you see Harvey Dent as before the incident. You know, he's pals with Bruce Wayne. You kind of see the friendship that they had before everything goes wrong,
as it always does.
Similar to this is that you kind of see Harvey Dent. You see the kind of man he is, what his beliefs, his morals, what his moral compass is, as before it's ultimately beaten down and corrupted by the Joker. And it's what makes his turn just so tragic. So he ends up, instead of being like an actual the hero of the story, like the unsung hero, I guess, he's now more of a tragic hero.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And yeah, and also the scarred half reminds me a lot of the 1990s series that I grew up with. Okay. All right. Now, it's actually the computer effect on Harvey, on Two-Face, is actually pretty impressive for the most part.
Yeah, there's a couple hiccups.
But that's mostly due to these are still shot on films, not digital cameras, as most films are nowadays. So you can't get that good, you can't get a sharp, crisp image. This is half of his face is covered in dots, and it's not so he can get out of school. You know, I can't come to school. I got the chicken pox. Those are tracking markers so that the computer knows where to position, each pixel of scar tissue. And because in one scene where he's actually in a car that's bouncing around, there are moments where you can actually see a little bit of the computers. You can see a little bit of the computer animation.
Yeah, and the computer trying to adjust.
But other than that, it's still pretty impressive. Now, Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman, who's like, what? He's like in the middle of, what was Tyler's and I's scale of hamminess?
Oh crap!
Was Gary? I think Gary Oldman was right in the middle.
I don't know.
I can't remember. We never really made good use of that.
No, we need to redraw it and bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
With what's his name?
Oh, Willem Dafoe?
Yes, we need to put him in.
Okay. I think maybe at one point we did have him in there.
You might have referenced him, but I don't think it was ever officially on the meter. But yeah, Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, who plays Lieutenant, then later Commissioner Gordon, which is how I've always known him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he doesn't really go as hammy as he's known to get, but still, everything was acted very well, and Oldman also gave a very good performance.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, even if you're, a casual fan like me of the Batman franchise, you know immediately who he's portraying.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I really don't know what to say. I mean,
good job,
especially
I guess?
about Jim. Good job, yeah. I mean, Commissioner. I mean, he's really great. He did a fantastic job portraying a man who really wants to save his city, return law and order, and also, try to keep order in all this chaos. I think that's kind of like the best way to describe what the theme of The Dark Knight. It is chaos versus order.
Mm-hmm. Although, to be honest, you can't have it completely one way or the other. You gotta have a balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true.
We're forgetting someone.
And we're forgetting a couple. Well, first off, Maggie Gyllenhaal, who plays Rachel, taking over for Katie Holmes, right? Tom Cruise's alien wife. I'm sorry, ex-wife.
Would that be?
I'm sorry, ex-wife.
Extraterrestrial wife?
No, just ex, as in I think they're not married anymore. But anyway, yeah, I wonder, Maggie Gyllenhaal must have taken the role over for Katie Holmes, probably because she couldn't because her religion wouldn't let her.
No, technically it's stated here on Wikipedia. Holmes was reportedly planning to reprise the role, but she eventually turned it down to film Mad Money with Diane Keaton and Queen Latifah.
I wonder how that turned out.
I am not interested.
But either way, side note, Scientology is filled with a bunch of crackpots. It isn't. It isn't. It is a religion you do not want to get involved with. Anyway, honestly, she does a pretty good job. It's kind of funny because this seemed to also be a trend. Like in Iron Man, they had to replace the actor who played Rhodey from the first Iron Man with Don Cheadle. Of course, he was originally the first choice. Oddly enough. But again, Maggie does. Gyllenhaal does a very good job at picking up picking up the character that Holmes portrayed. You know, an idealist, just someone with a spine.
Well, to be honest, let's be honest here. She stood up to the Joker.
Yes, she did.
And then the Joker got creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what he does best.
Mm-hmm. And, but unfortunately she is killed off. I think maybe because they don't know who they could get to play Katie Holmes if in the third movie if she survived. This role is slowly turning into the Doctor from Doctor Who. It's a new actor every time. But either way, her death, which honestly was just very shocking, was pretty much the final nail in Harvey Dent's coffin. That's when Harvey Dent died and Two-Face took his place.
Yeah, where he lost it.
Mm-hmm. And oh my god, I still remember jumping in my seat when you're hearing Rachel trying to calm Harvey down, and then all of a sudden a flash of light and a loud noise, and then boom! I was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Woo!
Although, it would be a crime to neglect our Lord and Savior himself, Morgan Freeman.
I was just about to mention that to him. Yes. Morgan Freeman, who plays Lucius Fox, Bruce Wayne, or technically Batman's weapons tech developer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite scene with him is actually the one I got The Dark Knight playing on in the background, not for reference. I just like the moving pictures. And it's the scene where this extra, this guy is planning on blackmailing Mr. Wayne, saying that he's the Batman, and I freaking love this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Morgan just pretty much dismantles him by using the stereotype rich white guy image.
Mm-hmm.
And then also adding with good luck proving that in court. Of course, he doesn't really say that, but he just says good luck. I freaking love that.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I think if I recall correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but he basically threatens this. He will from now on be known as Little Butthead 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
He threatens him with Batman. As if the guy who goes out and beats the crap out of criminals is just gonna sit by and let this little nobody expose him.
Yeah, yes. Oh, that's right. You're talking about the scene later on.
Oh, I'm so confused.
No, the Joker. The Joker is the one who kind of threatens to blow up a hospital if this guy Coleman Reese, that's it. I remember because I love the line delivery. If Coleman Reese isn't dead within the next 5 minutes, then I blow up a hospital.
And did you know that hospital
Actually, it was Heath Ledger's reaction that was improv.
I don't even. Would
let's-
that even be improv? I think it would just be like natural thing to do. Like, what's going on?
All right, hold on. Let's see. And okay, so now we're now talking about the linchpin of this movie, Heath Ledger. I think we've spent bringing up the timer. We spent about 30 minutes trying to avoid talking about Heath Ledger. Let's use the remainder 30 minutes.
Sounds good.
Remaining 30 minutes. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Here we go. Let's see. After the Joker exits the hospital, the pause in the explosions was scripted. So that was scripted, but his reactions, while it stopped, those weren't. He was in character when that happened, and that was actually I actually remembered the audience laughing when that happened. And yeah, it's a very memorable moment. It's the Joker in a nurse's office, walking as the hospital explodes, and he is just basking in the sounds of chaos, of destruction. He is in absolute rapture. It's like it's a lullaby to him.
It is, yeah.
Woo. And yet, so yeah, Heath was actually is the kind of actor that you hear about like with Daniel Day-Lewis, with Marlon Brando. He's the one who was pretty much committed to the full exploration of this role, which has led to speculation that it was this role that kind of had an effect on his mental health. Because about, I think it was January when I found, 2008, when I actually found out this happened, that he died from overdose of a sleeping medication.
He died January 22nd, 2008.
It was in January, and the funny thing is, everything always happens in threes with me, and when I find out about a celebrity's death. On TV, Batman Begins was playing, or it might have been A Knight's Tale, one of those. So I think for the sake of the story, I'm saying it was A Knight's Tale. And so for a random reason, I decided to look up Wikipedia Batman Begins, and then finding out that The Dark Knight is gonna be coming out later in that same year. I look at The Dark Knight. I see Heath Ledger, who's in A Knight's Tale, is playing the Joker. I'm like, oh, nice. Next day, I hear he's dead.
The gods have conspired against you, John Murphy.
So needless to say, that was just one of the many coincidences where the three connections have popped up, and so far since then I've been on my toes. Like if I hear three things that have a possible connection, I'm like, oh crap, who's gonna die? But so far, I actually think maybe the gods have decided to. So far, I think the gods have decided to stop doing that, because so far I haven't seen any coincidences. Like nothing for like Carrie Fisher's death, nothing for Stan Lee's death. So nothing. I think maybe it was just a coincidence.
Perhaps. Watch it happen 2 more times.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've exposed it on YouTube. See here. I just pulled up an article from Screen Rant. What's that? The title of this? The Dark Knight 15 behind-the-scenes secrets about Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, yes.
I thought I'd pull this up.
Yes, I remember. Oh yeah, I've read these things.
Number 15. Ledger locked himself in a room for over a month.
Yes, he did. He, like I said, he was a very committed actor along the same lines of Marlon Brando and Daniel Day-Lewis. Was pretty much secluded himself into a hotel room for weeks, reading comic books like The Laughing Joke or the Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. Watching movies like A Clockwork Orange to kind of get the mindset. And even keeping a diary of the Joker's personal thoughts.
And speaking of that diary, next thing, the resulting journal contains some creepy contents.
Oh boy.
Small excerpt. It included photographs of hyenas, stills from A Clockwork Orange, clown makeup designs, and Joker cards.
Ah.
A photo of Ledger in his makeup for the film was also added to the book. It also included some writing from the perspective of the Joker, including a list of things he thought were funny, including AIDS. And geniuses suffering from brain damage. John, you shouldn't be laughing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The irony of that last one is actually hilarious. Sometimes you do have to have a dark, twisted sense of. You have to have a dark sense of humor.
On the cover,
I mean,
the words "The Joker" appeared with a picture of an elephant and a man in a hat on a checkered floor. On the last page, in all caps, quote, "Bye bye" was written in large letters. Ledger kept the Joker journal with him throughout the filming process, using it as a touchstone to help him get into character and focus on his inspiration. After his death, Ledger's father kept the journal and discussed its content in the 2008 documentary Too Young to Die.
And now I gotta find that.
We all do, yes.
Let's see. Oh my god, what?
Number 13. Ledger could have been Batman, but he wasn't interested in comic book movies.
Oh! He could have been Batman! Oh my god. Jeez. Alright.
Let's see, what else?
Let's see.
You keep talking, I'm gonna find more.
Alright, let's see. Pretty much all the interesting tidbits about Heath Ledger's Jokers are gonna appear in that list, but I don't know which order it is. I think we'll talk. How about the famous clapping scene?
You mean the thing that's become a GIF now, or GIF?
Yeah, that is a GIF.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling it GIF. I'm calling it GIF. I don't care what the founder says.
Yes. So, GIF. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Okay. What? No. Moving on.
Just put up the GIF in this podcast. Just put it up. Can't be hard to find.
Oh. Okay.
It's hard to explain. It's not. Everyone knows what it is.
Well, everyone knows what it is. It's the thing about it is that it was entirely improvised by Heath, but it had such a creepy vibe to it that it was not only was it kept in the movie, but it was put in the trailer. And honestly, I think it also just adds to how in how unpredictable the Joker is. Like, he's supposed to be in jail. He's supposed to be in prison where he has no control, where he has no power, and yet he still does. That's what makes the scene between him and Batman, where they're just talking, before the whole "Where are they?" thing happens. It's still amazing because Heath Ledger himself has this amazing commanding presence when he's on screen. Like, you can't look away from him. What am I looking? Oh, look, it's Batman. Oh my, I know there's Batman right there, but I can't stop looking at this clown.
Number 11. The Joker's signature makeup wasn't the original design.
It wasn't the original?
I'll read this here. Heath Ledger's makeup was created by the awarded makeup artist John Caliagne Jr. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm terribly sorry. The makeup artist for The Dark Knight. Caliagne, whatever.
Probably Caliagne.
Originally created different styles for the Joker that were much cleaner in appearance, but even when Caliagne tried to make the design more grungy, it seemed too polished and professional. With input from Nolan and Ledger and inspiration from the painting of Francis Bacon, Caliagne eventually tried to make it look like the Joker had been wearing this makeup for days. While Caliagne was unsure about the makeup design initially, it would eventually earn him an Oscar nomination for Best Makeup. There's a story that Ledger bought his own cheap makeup and designed the makeup himself. However, Caliagne says that Ledger never came to him with a design. There are many fan stories that developed around Ledger after his death, and this may be one of those stories. Number 10, right after that, Ledger made exaggerated faces during the makeup process so that makeup would be uneven. Makes sense. And you can see it.
Because again, that's the Joker. He's supposed to be. He's anarchy incarnate. Is in this movie. In The Dark Knight, he represents anarchy in every form. Let's see. Probably on that list it says that he directed all of the Joker terrorist videos. He's the.
He improvised. We all know that. We'll get to that one. That's a good one to talk about.
Oh, now I'm curious. Let's see.
Oh, number 5. This is so sweet of him. And kinda creepy. Ledger hid a tribute to his daughter in The Dark Knight.
Aww.
The Joker's nurse outfit, which he used to infiltrate the hospital, hid a small and personal message on it. Just above the Dent political sticker, the nurse name tag reads Matilda, the name of Ledger's then infant daughter. Matilda was only 2 years old when Ledger passed away. While the Joker's nurse is a terrifying tormentor of Harvey Dent in the film, Ledger still used the role as a moment to immortalize the love he had for his daughter.
Aww.
At the time this article was written, Matilda is now 11 years old and lives with her mother, actress Michelle Williams. Williams and Ledger had dated for 3 years, but ended their relationship in September of 2007, shortly before his death in the beginning of 2008. While no longer romantically linked, the two were friendly and intended to continue to co-parent Matilda. Williams is currently nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in Manchester by the Sea 2016. That's sweet.
Okay.
That is sweet.
Yes. Oh man.
Now I'm sad.
I am very sad.
Okay, how about number 7? Ledger did not go full Joker in rehearsal. and so he scared his co-stars.
Oh, that actually reminds me of a bit of trivia. Is that Michael Caine, who plays Alfred? Oh, we actually kind of forgot about him.
Yeah. How can we forget about Alfred?
Batman's voice of reason.
Yeah.
The one who. All right. Michael Caine, apparently, the scene where the Joker comes to the Harvey Dent party at the Wayne Penn house was actually the first time that he ever saw Heath Ledger, and so when he burst through the doors and started acting, Caine was actually so scared that he forgot his lines.
I've heard this. I'm sure everybody heard this. Holy crap!
This is actually the first time I've heard of that, and I was like, oh my god! And oh my god! This makes me even more sad that he's gone, because it looks like Heath Ledger was the greatest young actor, the greatest actor in a while.
Part of me wants him to play Dagger.
Part wants him to play Dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. Let's see.
However, shortly after that, I'm just gonna skip around here. Ledger did not do the full Joker before filming, so some of his co-stars did not realize what they were getting themselves into.
I know, yeah.
This may or may not have been an intended result, so that the other actors would react truthfully to Ledger's disturbing character.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. There was also one point where during the interrogation scene with, where it was just Bale and Heath actually did tell Bale, I don't want to call him Christian. I don't want to use his first name. Or unless it's Chris. Can I call you Chris? Chris? Thank you. Alright, so Heath actually tells Chris to actually hit him. Like really hit him. So that it would look real, so that he could, for authenticity. I was like, it's like, damn, man, what kind of masochist are you?
The twins would be proud.
Mm-hmm. Whew. And boy, oh boy, there's like so much to talk about, and we only got about like 10 minutes left.
His death was ruled an accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was an accident, not a suicide.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. Let's see. Yeah. It has been said that his sister has informed media that he has always had problems with insomnia. So this one particular night he took too much.
Yep.
Which is always a sad way to go.
Oh. Nolan chose to edit the film while grieving and dedicated the movie to Ledger.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was probably... I mean, I just suspect it was, like, very tough for everyone.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
To see someone who gave such a great performance, and then hearing he's dead while the movie is still in post-production, then having to see him, having to rewatch the footage that he gave after he just suddenly passed away. I mean, I bet everyone was. I would not be surprised if everyone was wearing black for the entirety of that process.
Mm-hmm. Here's while promoting the film, Nolan said, "I see him every day in my edit suite. I study his face, his voice, and I miss him terribly.
Mm-hmm. I know, it was just...
He won the Oscar posthumously.
Mm-hmm.
He's only one of two actors ever to do that.
Okay. And not only that, but this movie was actually was the first comic book movie to actually not only receive not receive Oscar nominations, but to win one. Because even with movies like, say, with like Spider-Man, or even X-Men, or even Superman from 1979, or the Tim Burton Batman, is that the Academy just never really recognized superhero movies as legitimate films. Like Academy worthy films.
Mm-hmm.
But Heath Ledger gave such a, I believe it was because of the performance that he gave that the Academy was willing to finally set aside their standards
and just look at the film.
Yes, and just look at it. And so far it is the only good DC movie to actually win an Oscar. I don't count Suicide Squad because that won makeup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number one, it says he did film those hostage videos himself, like he directed.
Oh
them.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep, that was all him. I think there was at one point. I think at one point it was sort of like more like the test footage of what it was test footage of how they wanted the scene to play out. They gave Heath Ledger a camera to roll with it, but it turned out to be so good that Nolan just went, okay, you're doing them. You are doing them. And how about that laugh?
Oh, jeez.
Oh god. All right. This movie was almost like experiencing Mask of the Phantasm again, which had Mark Hamill's Joker, and there are some scary moments in that movie as well. But I was like 6 when I saw that. With The Dark Knight, I'm 18, and I am getting scared, and I'm also getting scared by you, Ian, because there's no light on your face. All I'm seeing is the glow of your glasses. Well, I was. Okay, I'm seeing your face. And so yeah, I was like re-experiencing my childhood fears again from this movie.
Yeah, and it's such a good movie that even in this hour-long review, most of it we just praised Heath Ledger.
I know.
But, you know what, let's dedicate this review to him.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of the reason that, and Heath and Christopher Nolan are kind of the reason why this is like the best Batman sequel, one of the greatest movie sequels of all time, because not only did it have a great actor, but everything about the movie was kicked up a notch. It was dark. It was mature. It was gritty. I mean, there was nothing kid friendly about this movie.
No, if you want kid friendly, watch Adam West's Batman.
Or just Batman Begins.
That works. But yeah, no, this is for, like, kids who saw that as a teenager and they're a little older, and this movie matures with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And my God, and I guess the problem with Heath Ledger being the Joker is that he casts such a big shadow. He casted such a big shadow that it's now going to be hard to actually top him.
I don't think you can.
But I don't think you can, but here's the thing. Instead of just trying, I mean, you can always try to top Heath Ledger, but I think there's, in the back of your mind, there should always be the goal, do as well as him.
Mm-hmm.
Try to give a Joker performance that's worthy of being up there with him.
Indeed, yes.
Did we get such a thing with Jared Leto? No, but
No.
I place the blame more on the studio.
And at this point, this is the best Joker we've ever seen.
I know. Whew. All right.
At least
And
so
with
far.
At least so far. I mean, you know, there's bound to be other Batman movies. There is the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix coming out. I don't know if I really want to see that.
We'll give it a chance, though.
Yeah, we'll give it a chance. Every movie deserves a chance. Alright, and with that, the hour is over. I know there was actually a lot of stuff that we didn't get to talk about.
But that's what comments are for.
That's what comments before, right? If there's something that we missed, something that you want to give your thoughts on, something you want to hear us talk about, leave it in the comments down below in the video. And of course, do check out my blog where I do have all my other podcasts from the past uploaded. You know, just in case, you know, YouTube's algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So now, to conclude this, what is our rating?
Well, considering how good it is, as well as the time that it came out, this came out, like, during the time when superhero movies were just starting to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. It got the ball rolling.
It did, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we said that Spider-Man kicked it off, and this kept it moving. So, look what we have now. At least a couple superhero movies every year now.
Yes.
Whether that's good or bad remains to be seen, but at this point, for The Dark Knight, I gotta say it's a 9 out of 10.
And I'd have to agree. Like, it's a pretty straightforward movie that you don't really need to watch the previous movie. It's a pretty good It's a pretty good movie on its own. Amazing acting, and okay, sometimes the plot can seem a little convoluted, but the charm is definitely from the characters and how they interact.
Although we can't forgive the post-production crew. What they did with the audio was unforgivable.
Yes. So, and both for Bale's voice and for just all around making me have to constantly adjust my television, I too would have to give The Dark Knight a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, audio crew, shame on you. I'm hard of hearing. I couldn't hear what was being said in the movie. Shame on you.
Oh boy, and I'll bet the explosions were even louder for you, right?
Luckily, I wasn't wearing my hearing aids while watching this, so I just couldn't hear people talk. Or / whisper. But overall, a solid movie. I have not too many complaints about. This one, Heath Ledger pretty much carried on his own, and it was splendid.
Oh yeah. And all the other actors, they've also done a great job. Heath Ledger was pretty much the brightest shining star in this film.
Mm-hmm. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. Yes, Heath, every day we miss you. We wish we could have seen more performances like this.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, we now conclude Nerd-Vana podcast for this month. Join us next time for the original superhero blockbuster Superman 1979. See you next time, everyone.